Just the way my mind works. Every time I ring the temple bell, I want to go, ahoy, matey. Is that ever going to go away? Okay, thanks for coming. You're here for love. That's why you've come. Love means God. Love means truth. Love means life. These are cliches, right? I mean, you couldn't even talk the first time you heard these cliches. Your whole life you hear God is love, and all these things people say that if you ask somebody, explain it, try it sometime. They can't do it. But there's a reason they can't do it. There's a reason we say these things and repeat these things and believe these things but don't really know what we're saying. There are two reasons. One reason is it's beyond human comprehension. It's just that simple. Human comprehension is based on mind and wisdom. And love is separate from that. Totally related to that, but at the same time operates in a separate way. So it's like men like to say that only women do this, but I've never met a man who I believe doesn't do this too. You try to look at your own ass in the mirror, you know. Turning around fast. That's very not an inappropriate way to talk about how we try to understand love. We try to catch it by turning around fast and seeing if we can grab onto it. But the point is it can't be done. You can't turn fast enough. No matter how big, no. I didn't say that. And the other reason it can't be understood is it's so simple and it's so elemental and it's related to other things that are even simpler that the mind can't grasp it because the mind isn't constructed for simple, doesn't like simple, has a, just like you have preferences, the mind has preferences and it prefers the complex. It does not like simple and it does not comprehend simple. If it's as simple as can be, the mind can't grasp it because it has nowhere to latch on. It needs a hook, and hook usually means complication or complexity. So what you have to understand, but I want to give you an understanding of love and what you're motivated by and why you're always interested in that topic. And why your whole life moves around that idea and that search for better love, more love, real love, true love, divine love. And again, understand, it cannot be imparted, it cannot be explained, but we can do the best we can, and over time it gets clearer for people through their own life experience, and you can start to intuit it. And then you start to see the evidence, and then it can be comprehended in a more universal way. It can't be comprehended like how to make a table in a practical way. It's much more rarefied than that. So here's the hardest part for humans to grasp. Love is actually life itself. Do this. Close your eyes. Very quickly. We're not going to spend any time on this. Just relax. Just be meditative. Just be inner focused. and feel your aliveness, feel all the life in you, whatever that means to you. And believe me, it means different things to different people. But feel how right now life is going on, and it has your name. Feel the life in you, the fact that you can see and hear and feel and understand and think and plan and remember and reach out, and all the things that are involved in a living creature that is aware of itself, which is a higher order. Feel the aliveness in you. Feel the fact of your being alive and what that feels like and is for you, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. You know, if you're depressed, it's a bad thing. But just feel it, just for this moment. Now, whatever you're experiencing and noticing, this is divine love. Open your eyes. See, you've been taught that love is a feeling. And love is not a feeling. Love is a living, moving, conscious force. It's life itself. Now here's the blow your mind part. Life itself, whether it's thought of as love or not, life itself is God for real. The way God relates, well, it's even what it says in the Bible. God breathed breath into Adam, into the first human. So that's a made-up story, but it's the truth. So your breath is God's breath, is God's aliveness. So the way God is in you and the way God is in everything is through that flow. God is in you as a flowing, which you experience as life. Well, what's life? Movement and consciousness. Awareness. Movement and awareness of the movement, whether that movement is on the mental level, on the physical level, on the emotional level, on some other level. So when you say love, when you say God, and when you say life, you're talking about the same thing. The problem is you've been taught conceptually that you have a life, that you feel love, and that your physical body is this object that moves around in space. But the divine is everything, everywhere, all the time. So you can't say that the divine is in space or in time. We've had this discussion many times, but I'm just summarizing. So the main reason the human mind can't comprehend the omnipresence of divinity in everything is because we're very, very married to and mentally bound to the notions of time and space. It's very hard for the human mind to think in eternal, non-spatial terms. Not just infinite and eternal terms, but the negative side, non-spatial, non-temporal. No time, no space. But in the God position, there is no time and no space, because that's just a manifestation no different than any other manifestation. For us it's special because we feel bound by it. We feel like we live in it, like a fish in water. We live in time, we live in space. But that, I don't know if I should say I'm sorry to tell you or happy to tell you, it's completely a human illusion. It's the human perspective. It isn't the divine perspective. And the more you move toward and live through the divine perspective, the more it'll be true for you. I know some of you don't believe me at all if I say that, but because I remember when I didn't believe it, if I heard something similar. But it's true. You'll start to be very aware of the eternal perspective, the infinite perspective, and the limited space and time perspective will actually be more perceptible to you and understandable to you as an illusory phenomenon, as something you experience, but that doesn't mean it's what's actually going on. You know, you can go to Universal City or Disneyland or whatever and go through the haunted house or whatever, but that doesn't mean it's a real haunted house, but you have an experience. Time and space are kind of like the haunted house. It seems like it's there and it makes you scream, but it isn't really there. I just go for the screams. You ever been to a really well done haunted house? It'll scare you. So it's not a problem. It's nothing wrong with the fact that we live in the time and space world, because there's a practical side to it. The problem is the problem is what we're taught, which is that that's reality. That's all there is, and that's how it is, and that's what's going on. And that's simply not true. It's just an aspect of how human beings, as complex, self-aware consciousness, how we perceive and experience. And the more you align with reality, the more you perceive truth as it is, the more you trust God, the more you can easily bridge that gap. In other words, you can have no big problem with the fact that time and space feel very real but aren't, and eternity and infinity are not that easy to grasp, but they're very real, much more real than time and space. God is the infinite. God is the eternal. So love cannot be understood ultimately because it's of the eternal, of the infinite, and of the divine, which has no spatial or temporal reference. So the mind can't, there's no hook for the mind to latch onto, because you would have to spend many lifetimes training your mind to think in non-spatial, non-temporal terms, to be able to hold things in a way where space and distance and dimension and three-dimensionality is not coloring every way you look at things. And right now it is. You've been taught there are 3 dimensions. That's ridiculous. There are endless dimensions. But let's go with what we tend to be brainwashed into. So you've been taught that what's real is if it's 3-dimensional. So it has to have breadth and width and length. You have to be able to prove that it has mass or weight. That is so, I don't even know what word to use, ridiculously limiting, that A, it's not the truth at all, and B, it leaves you in a position where you can't relate to anything, think about anything, try to understand anything, try to perceive anything without some sense of space or time, especially space. Because your whole experience of life, moment to moment, second to second, is spatial. I'm here, you're there, the trees are out there, the sky is up there. Space becomes the dimension that you're constantly, without thinking about it, aware of and adjusting to. And then to find out, and it's hard to accept because the mind doesn't know how to take it, that there is no space. That God is love means no space between you and God, no distance. Literally it means, and the mind cannot grasp this, so don't even try to get it. The whole idea that all is one and that we're all one as a species, we're all one, is explained that way. It's truly explained that way, that there's no distance between you and you and you and you and you and me. We have a perception of distance. I'm here, you're there. She's there, she's there. The mind can't grasp that that distance doesn't exist. Therefore, she's not there and she's not there. We're all in the same place. We're all in one place only, which is no place. So these are not brain teasers. You know? This is not to try to construct a theory of reality or have an intellectual understanding. This is to, I'm only talking about it to give you the understanding of how it can't be understood, but it can be lived, it can be experienced, it can be intuited, it can be moved toward, so that it becomes more and more obvious to you. It can become obvious, that's a good way to say it. It can be perceived with your wisdom mind, not your everyday mind. Your everyday mind is for going to the grocery store. Your wisdom mind is for knowing truth. So I'm really talking, I guess this morning I'm talking to your wisdom mind. So the next time you hear somebody say God is love, challenge them to explain it. You'll have a real good time, because they'll get tongue-tied. They'll start to say obvious stuff that means nothing. Say, well, that's not an explanation. Push them. Just because it's fun. No, it helps them too. I don't mean be mean. I don't mean put them on the spot, but a little bit, see if you can challenge it, because it's good for people to stop saying conditioned, brainwashed, clichéic things that they sincerely believe, and they don't even stop to realize, I don't know what I'm talking about. You're helping them if you help them get it, that they're talking without knowing. So just understand that the whole idea of love, when you hear that word, and I'm talking about divine love, and all love is a form of divine love. So just understand when you hear the word love that it's not abstract, it's not a feeling, it's not some floaty thing. It's the life of life. It's the presence of God. It's the reality of truth. It actually exists in form on every level, in every way, from the smallest to the largest. So that's why we can't really wrap our arms around it, because you'd have to be able to wrap your arms around the whole, and we can't do that. We're part of the whole. Okay, that leaves you something to chew on for the rest of the day. So. That's enough.
Liz has a question.
Who?
Liz. Go ahead, Liz.
Hi, Mr. P. Master P.
That's only when I'm DJing.
I had a question about God love. If we have God love, is that the same as self-love?
There's many ways to answer that question, so I'm going to answer it the way most people need to be responded to, which is their opposites. One answer is that yes, it's exactly the same, because the love in you that you have for anything is God's love. But generally we're more screwed up than that. Generally, we're more confused. And that's the answer if everything was going fine and you were clear as a bell and you knew very, very much from your heart and soul what divine love is, then that answer is the right answer. So for those of you that's the case, there you go. If you're a little more confused in that, like most of us are, probably the best answer for you is that self-love is the refusal of God love. So when you love of course you should love yourself. That means respect yourself, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, don't be your own enemy. That's a given. Nobody's saying it's never so. That being said, most of us indulge, when we say self-love, most of us are indulging in a form of arrogance, conceit, and total self-obsession. And that's what we're referring to when we say self-love. That isn't self-love. That's excessive and obsessive self-concern. That hurts. That's painful. That makes you worried. That makes you go in and out of various levels of misery because you're always afraid of what's going to happen. And you're trying to protect yourself, but the irony is you're trying to protect yourself from life itself, and of course that's a dog chasing its tail. So understand that usually when we say self-love, we're actually referring to our childishness, our selfishness, our ignorance, our inability to connect with others, truly share with others, share ourselves, share our heart and soul. So in that sense, self-love is the opposite of divine love. Divine love seeks to give, self-love seeks to get. Self-love is neediness, generally. It's a feeling of lack. It's, will you please love me? And then all kinds of little social bargains get made. If you love me, then I'll be nice to you. And if you say hello, good morning, and smile at me, I'll smile back at you. And then all these social conventions arise where people are more and more insincere. It's just phony talk. And no real love gets felt or exchanged. So, if self-love means respecting yourself and loving yourself the way you should love all of life, yes, then self-love and divine love are the same. But if self-love means you're obsessed with yourself and you're living in a selfish manner and it's difficult for you to put other people ahead of yourself, or at least even equal to yourself, if it's always about you, and that's how it is for most of us, that's not the same as divine love. And the term self-love is deceptive there because it's actually self-obsession. Self-obsession, if you get over it, you'll be more capable of actual self-love. Good enough? Is that a good enough answer?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I had the right definition. Thank you.
Sure. Is it getting close to your moving time? Didn't you say you're moving to LA in the spring?
Yes, May, for my birthday.
May, okay.
Yeah.
May Day.
I'm excited. I finally passed my learner's driver's permit test, if that's what it's called.
Well, let me know when you're on the road so I can stay off. Because I remember the first 5 times I drove a car by myself. It's amazing I didn't kill anyone.
That's my goal, not to kill anything.
We support that goal. Okay.
Thank you.
Sanji, Ishan has a question. Ishan, can you go to the question, please?
Can somebody microwave that for me? That's ice cold. It's still good, but it's better when it's hot.
So I want to report that I passed my marriage and family therapy license test.
So now you can drive.
And I want to say thank you because you encouraged me to complete it. You know, when I was on the fence about it.
I didn't encourage you to be a therapist, that's for sure. I don't encourage anyone. But I did encourage you, because you were well into it, to not abandon it. When you got shaky, I said, no, finish what you start.
Mm-hmm.
You've gone too far to let it go. You already invested too much. And some of us have that issue. I certainly have that issue, that we're not good at finishing what we start. The only way I got through graduate school, and it was the first time I ever made a firm, willful decision, and it taught me how to do it, was I just made the decision. I knew myself well enough to know, I'm going to fuck this up. I'm going to because I'm the guy who went all through college and then dropped out 5 credits short of graduating. You know, that's a pattern. So when I got to graduate school, way later, I realized I'm going to do the same thing, or I'm going to quit halfway through, or I'm going to meet some woman halfway through and get derailed. You know, something is going to. I'm not good at. You know, it's 4 years. It's long term. I'm not good at finishing. So I've told this story before. I just made a firm, total front of your willpower decision. No matter what, if God comes down on a flaming chariot and tells me to quit, I'm not quitting. No matter what. If I lose my legs, if I win the lottery and have 80 million gazillion dollars and don't need a profession, no matter what, I am finishing this frickin' degree. And once I finished, I realized if I hadn't have done that, I would have never finished. And it taught me how you have to decide some things for your own sake, that you have to be kind of firm with yourself. And anything important like that I've been able to do ever. It gave me the ability to carry out and finish what's really important once I make up my mind. Because you don't use that for everything and all the time. It'll just become kind of meaningless. You use it when it really matters, and when you're not confident that you'll stay the course. But it taught me that if I really want to reach a goal, I can do it by deciding to let nothing stop me. And of course, everything did try to stop me. So luckily, I did meet a woman, but luckily she was the type of woman who fuels your ambition, doesn't let you quit. So now I had double trouble. So. Okay, well, I guess congratulations.
But now, I'm falling back into this pattern of like seeing how I'm not serious about things, and like how I'm very reluctant to really stay focused on becoming, I don't know, like a lack of seriousness, you know, and something that Catherine brought up.
So you have 1 week. You have 1 week to indulge that, because that's a reaction to succeeding, to accomplishing something, to finishing something big. So then you immediately get lazy. I understand that. So I'm putting a time limit on it. You have 1 week to be a lazy layabout no good. And after that, you got to get back in gear. You can. It's a perverse form of celebrating an achievement, and I'll give you 1 week to indulge it. I have the right to do that. I spent years indulging it. So rather than kick yourself or tell yourself that something is wrong, just see it as an indulgence, as a reaction to a success that's probably bigger than you can allow yourself to truly congratulate yourself and celebrate. If you had the ability to truly celebrate, you wouldn't have to do this. So you could check that out and see if there's a way to celebrate that would make it unnecessary for you to lapse into kind of this lazy approach. But I don't want to challenge you too much. You can have the lazy, but 1 week is your limit. So I don't know how far in you are, but you'll have to figure that out.
Okay. And I'm wondering if this is also related to the just feeling more indifferent, like, okay, well, you know.
This is the biggest achievement you've ever done, isn't it?
Well,
I mean, you became an engineer, you had a whole other degree, you succeeded, all that. I'm aware of that history, but that wasn't like a heart thing like this. You decided in the middle of a career to leave that career and go do something else because you felt called to it, or you felt that it was more in line with what your life should be about. So this is bigger, isn't it? In that way, isn't this bigger?
Definitely.
Yeah, so this is a more meaningful achievement. This is a more meaningful success. That now you've completed the requirements. There's still requirements, but you've completed the hard part. So you're having, this is so common, so you're speaking for a lot of people. It's good for people to hear this. You're having difficulty acknowledging yourself. You're having difficulty celebrating the fact that this may be the biggest achievement in your life so far, in terms of you put your mind to something, made a goal, and achieved it, and changed your life. So you're not giving yourself the real credit. And that's why you're lapsing into, my guess is, that's why you're lapsing into this kind of self-indulgent, little bit, you know, questioning everything, whatever, approach, when you should be jumping for joy and telling yourself that you've done well. We're all good at telling ourselves we screwed up, but most of us aren't that good at telling ourselves when we've genuinely done well, right?
When you say that, I mean, I can see how what I did give myself, I didn't fully take it in, you know?
Yes.
It was just kind of still on the surface.
That's what I'm saying, that you have to get it all the way, that, wow, I made this decision, this is years. I made this decision years ago, and there's all these steps along the way, all these things to do, and people drop out, and it's not easy, and it costs money, and you have to go here and do that, and I did it. So it was easy for me, when I graduated graduate school, it was easy for me to celebrate because I was more aware than you are of how difficult that is for me to stay the course. You're not as acutely aware of that deficit as I was. So, and maybe you don't have it as bad as I had it, and to a degree still have it. So, but it doesn't change the fact that that's what's going on here, and that if you can congratulate, you should really be congratulating yourself. That's difficult because people teach you, oh, that's conceited, don't do that. But you should. When you have a major achievement in life and you only have a few, that's the time to actually congratulate yourself. To sit with yourself quietly just for a period, you know, not hours or days, but and actually take it in. Look what I've done, good for me. That's loving yourself in the right way, not the conceited way, not the selfish way. Acknowledging and recognizing when you've set a goal and succeeded at meeting it, and it's something good. You know, if you set the goal to be the best heroin dealer in LA, that's, but this is a good thing.
I can see now I was too ready to go on to the next step and then bash myself for being lazy.
That's a good point. Yes, I left that out. Thanks for putting it in. That's what people do. The part of this pattern is it's on to the next thing. I did that, good for me, on to the next thing. That on to the next thing is the mistake. You need to take a moment, breathe, and congratulate yourself, whether it's an hour, whether it's a day, whether it's a week. Some people who are really good at celebrating and acknowledging these things, they take a Caribbean vacation for a week as a celebratory way of congratulating themselves. They give themselves a gift. Some people do that as indulgence. That's different. But when you can do it as a true self-congratulations, that's a really good ability. Someday I hope to have it.
Me too. Me too. Thank you.
Okay.
Swamiji, we have questions from Ananda and Santa Maria. Go ahead, Santa Maria.
I want to report that last weekend was very challenging for me after you spoke to me.
Talk to everybody.
Yeah, it was very difficult, and I don't know where it came from. I was not actually aware of the idea of my Catholic background, but I want to clarify that I had been meditating since 10 years ago, every single day, twice a day, and I love it. When I started doing it in the tradition that I'm doing, I knew the first week that I wanted to serve and to teach meditation.
Good.
So I am already a meditation instructor. I have been training with Anand and Himalayas, and I have been doing for 6 years, and I love it. And also I teach Sattva Yoga as well. But 2 years ago, I was more like, the call was to go more with the study of the Vedas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have been taking the courses for the last 2 years. Every course is every 5 or 6 months, and it goes more and more. So I'm going to take the next weekend. It's the whole weekend. So that will go towards for me to be able to complete the teacher training of the Vedic meditators, which I'm pursuing. I want to do because it's a tradition. This has been transformative and led me to many places and know the path. So what you told me last weekend was very hard. I mean, I don't know where.
Well,
it was very confusing.
you don't come to me because I make it easy.
I don't know, but it was I feel actually very uncomfortable the whole Saturday. I was actually angry and I said, what I'm doing here. But, I love you. My mother loves you too.
Mothers always love me.
And so I'm very
Good
blessed.
morning, Mrs. Cleaver.
I'm very blessed that, I don't have my family here, my relatives, no one is here, except for one aunt that is in Orange County, but she's always in Mexico, she's not even here. So I had the blessed that I had a very wise mother, that you know her. So I spoke with her, and let me tell you, she's very Catholic, and she's so close, like all this state of consciousness. And then I spoke to her, and I told her how uncomfortable I felt when I know that I had been going through this path. And she knows that how respectful I am with all religions, and I don't judge because I respect the state of consciousness. And then she told me, listen to him, he's right. And I was so impressed because she is like the most defendant of the Catholic Church. And for me to hearing her, that she was telling me that you were right, that I need to destroy all that fear. It was so beautiful.
Good. If my words comfort you, I'm not of much use to you. But if my words challenge you and throw you into turmoil and make you question something that you've never questioned, then I'm helping you.
So the whole week I experienced a lot of love, but I experienced in a very different way the way you spoke today. It's not feeling, it's just knowing that it's life itself and I am that. And I do feel that I already met the love the way it is.
Good. So now you're not feeling confused anymore, or at least as confused.
But at the same time, Swami, I had been experiencing, I know myself, and it's so easy for me to connect with people, so easy, but I had been experiencing also a lot of solitude and quietness and silence. And I can tell you sometimes it's not even comfortable to be in that silence, but I just doing it. Needs to be for me to continue in my evolution, and I just doing it. I know that love is already in me, it's in life. I am not scared. It's like I felt like when Shiva drank the poison. I felt like I drank the poison, and I say, so what? I'm here. I will continue. This is how it's actually I felt with that, be be fearless, and continue with the path.
Well, the guru has to shake you up. So if something is limiting you, if something is taking you in the wrong direction, even if what it is good, but it's hurting you, the guru has to address that. So the irony here is that you were sitting here telling us very clearly, sitting right where you're sitting now, and you were speaking very clearly, but it was obvious you weren't hearing it, about not problems due to a Catholic upbringing or anything wrong with Catholicism. You were telling us the part that you've been left with, which is restrictive and conditioned and full of guilt and full of fear. And that is not the true purpose of the true Catholic faith. Trouble is, the true Catholic faith is very rare, and the one that's taught teaches a lot of guilt and a lot of fear. And you were very, very much describing how that was affecting you. So I have an obligation to shake you up and put that in front of you. It's not going to be possible for me to tell you, guess what? That's conditioning, and it comes from something you cherish, and you don't have to stop cherishing it, but you got to get rid of the conditioning because it's messing you up. Guess what? There's no way to say that to you without upsetting you and putting you in turmoil. So, okay, I'll do that.
But it's like, even with my name, it was called Santa, means saint. And I said, when I was a child, I was saying, why they gave me this name? It takes so much responsibility. Like, I was even angry to be called saint. Imagine all the my classmates or the children, they always made fun of my name, Santa, or the teachers, Santa, you need to honor your name, you need to behave this way because look at your name. So I was very angry, Master.
Oh, you just tell them I'm going to change my last name to Claus.
So
That's the trouble. It's made you very serious. It's made you very feeling hemmed in. And that's all we were talking about, as I was pointing out to you that it leaves you with a conditioning that isn't life affirming and isn't serving you and is making you kind of, feeling like the body is the enemy and feelings are the enemy, and you've got to, it's messing with your mind. So you don't need to get rid of faith, and you don't need to even get rid of Catholicism to get rid of the part that messes you up, which isn't the true Catholicism. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is even more ironic. I consider myself a Vedic teacher. And I told you, fuck the Vedas. Because you were telling us that in your profound continued study of the Vedas, it was messing up your mind. So I want you to take a lighter approach, and I want you to give yourself more space. I'm not against the Vedas, but I'm against how the mind so easily uses not just the Vedas, but any meaningful scripture to kind of mess ourselves up, to kind of tell ourselves we're not good enough, and to tell us that, like, it's all about memorizing and studying this, and that's what my life has to be. That's kind of what you, not literally, but that's kind of the direction you were going. You were telling us how your intense and pure and sincere and meaningful study of the Vedas was messing up your mind. So I have to get you to slow down. I have to get you to back away. Take a little break. Take it easy. Keep reading the Vedas, but not quite with that seriousness that makes it all a problem. So I had to do that in the quickest, most effective way I know how, which I just say, fuck the Vedas.
No, yeah, you.
Which is ironic, because I've never even read the Vedas and I love the Vedas.
And let me tell you, maybe this is something.
So this is the funny position that people in my job are always in, is we have to say stuff because you need it, and then people think, well, that's his attitude, but none of that is my attitude. I have to say to you what's going to help you get to where you belong. That's my job.
I know, and yeah, and ironically, I mean,
This is why people think all gurus are crazy, eventually, because they say all these things that don't make a lot of sense, and then if you stay in this business long enough, one day you've said, fuck the Vedas, and another day you said the greatest thing ever is the Vedas. So people think you're nuts.
and the one thing that I want to report to you is that every time I take the courses, the Veda courses, the whole weekend, there is a lot of removal of many things. It's like shifts for things like you didn't even expect. And I had been experienced that for the last 3 times, or 4 times, and oh my God! And then you came with this. It was, imagine how I felt. But now,
You're talking about when you come here?
no, last weekend.
Yeah, but that's my job. The major part of my job is removal of garbage.
And then
I'm basically
No,
a garbage man.
I said that. Yes.
I just
yes.
don't ride on one of those trucks that wakes you up at 6 a.m.
It makes sense. It's knowledge. They bring knowledge, and of course, there will be a removal because you are turning to wisdom, right? But I said, whenever I took the courses, the Vedas courses, and then with you now, I talked to Divina. I said, Divina, I just don't know what is bad, but
What the Vedas say and what I say are the exact same thing.
yeah. So yeah, let's.
I actually do, because when we were trying to figure out the best name for ICODA, I didn't win. I was outvoted, but one of my preferences was that it has have the word Vedic in it, Vedic Center for it, I was outvoted, but that's how much I consider myself a Vedic teacher, a Vedic person, someone who represents the ancient Vedas.
And I do the best.
And all that without ever having read a damn Veda.
I know. It doesn't have to be read. It has to be the access. Have the access. It's not read. It's have access to that. But this is my report, and yeah. So
So
I felt that I drank
whenever you're very
the poison of the universe.
oh well,
Shiva
then I did a great job. I think I should take a Caribbean vacation.
Yes, you do. Yes, you
Congratulations to me.
do. Because it was like that seed, like that cord, like like.
Well, that's
Take it.
that's spiritual surgery. So we did it quickly. We do. You know, that can take years. We did it in 1 week. That's pretty good.
And then the Veda comes again in the course, and it will be, I don't know, but I'm here, it's okay. It's okay.
You survived. So far, I haven't lost a patient. They've all survived. So far, when I need to do spiritual surgery, no one has died.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you get angry or upset with the guru, that means they've touched a nerve. Good.
Good, thank you.
Ananda, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
That's also amazing that, by the way, just before we go on, the fact that your mother supported what I said to you shows what a remarkable woman she really is.
Yes. And my mind was low, like.
Yeah, you weren't expecting that. You were expecting her to say, "Don't listen to that fool."
No, because you know why, Swami? Because 9 years ago or 10 years ago, when I started in this path, for example, like chanting my mantras with the mala and doing all this work, she always told me, "Remember that you are Catholic too, so you need to do the rosary." And I said, "Yes, Mama, I'm doing the double work. I'm doing the rosary." I was doing it, seriously, I was doing that.
Well, it's even simpler than that. A mala is a rosary, and a
Yeah.
rosary is a mala. They're just two different words.
I was praying the Ave Maria, the Holy Mary, and then I was praying the Gayatri, or the other mantras. And then her response when I spoke seriously with her was like blow-minded, because she said, "He's right. Catholicism is full of fear. Listen to him. He actually, she spoke of him so beautiful. Like, trust me, when I entered here today, it's like I feel so honored, and thank you. Thank you. I'm really sorry. I know I was in a very comfortable situation last week."
That's okay. You didn't send me any nasty texts or anything.
No, of course, no, I won't do that. I
Oh, you don't think people do that?
But actually, yes, it was like unexpected, and she loved you very much. She always say hello to you.
A very nice lady.
Thank you.
Interesting. Well, we'll save it for another time. You said Ananda.
Ananda. Go ahead, Ananda.
Yeah, Beloved Premodaya, I became aware of quite some things, and it has a lot to do with less hesitating, more speaking out, and I thought, this is for spiritual meetings, but of course, it just spills out into my daily life too, and it frees a lot of energy. It's pretty amazing. Within relating with people, I'm just 5 years old often. There's feeling extremely, extremely vulnerable. I didn't know that was going on, but it is. And at the same time, seeing that, feeling also way stronger than before, not to fall into the 5-year-old responding or reacting. So.
So you mean feeling 5 years old, meaning like they're the adult and you're the child, they know and you don't, you're in the lower position.
Yeah, and mainly it's got a lot to do with being afraid they will be angry at me, or they don't love me, or it's this whole approval game.
Yes.
And I saw how much that was playing out. But I don't. I have a choice. I don't have to fall into that pattern at all. And also because I also notice, like I often, like so many people, I guess, taking over the energy of other persons, and how immediate that happens, and how easy it is to just fall into that, and basically not have a mind of your own, just to accommodate always whatever other people bring. And yeah, so there's a lot of awareness around that. And well, I kind of think it's because of a lot of things. It's because of you, it's because of the retreat, but in trying to find more ways to decondition. Like 2 weeks ago, I started writing with my other hand, and it's a simple thing, but it does a lot. It makes me aware of a lot of other habitual patterns I fall into. And it's all because of you and because of the retreat and everything that was shaken up there. And I guess also sending the voice to you.
And naively believing you're getting them back. So.
That's the 5-year-old.
Well, more than 50% of the population have this. It's not necessarily the 5-year-old specifically, but what you're talking about is a manifestation or part of a more general, simple phenomena that is so common that more than half the population has it their whole life. Most people never become aware of it because most people don't do spiritual work or serious psychological work, so they never look into themselves and find it. You found it, and all it is, and when I say it, other people in this meeting or who listen in the future to this recording will recognize it in themselves. It's just a general pattern many of us have. We never quite feel grown up. We feel everyone else is the grown up and we're the child. We don't feel like we're equal. We don't feel adequate. It's a feeling of inadequacy. It's a feeling of one down. But it actually lives psychically, psychologically in the human psyche as a feeling of the other people. See, those other people are the grown-ups. I'm the kid. So you have to catch up with reality that you're not a kid. And that other people, the irony is the person you're sitting with or relating to that you're feeling they're the grown-up and I'm the kid, they're feeling the same way. Because it's more than 50%, so the chance is more than 50% that they're also feeling you're the grown-up and they're the kid. So human beings walk around with this strange set of psychological stuff going on that gives a inner experience very different from how it looks on the outside. So you can have a very mature 15-year-old relating to a very immature 50-year-old, and the 15-year-old is feeling like the adult and the 50-year-old is feeling like the kid, and there's something true in it because how you feel on the inside is the predominant way you experience. So it doesn't matter that you're 50 and that teenager's 15. You're feeling like they're the grown-up and you're the kid, or they know something and you don't, or they're capable and you're not. So you have to ask yourself if you have this general pattern that the majority of people have. More than 50% means the majority, even if it's only 51%. I don't know what the percentage is, but I know at least more than half of the people in Western culture have this. This is more a Western culture thing because Western culture tends to infantilize people. It doesn't encourage you to grow up. It encourages you to be babyish, to be selfish. Babyish means selfish. So the spiritual quest and the spiritual life and the spiritual path is about growing up. And growing up then you have to deal with the big surprise along the way that nobody told you at the beginning, that it actually means actually being less selfish. And less selfish turns out to not mean what you thought it would mean. It doesn't mean you share more or give more generous gifts. It means you actually start living with a more open heart, which is very difficult, hard work. So you never expect that people sincerely enter into spiritual life or spiritual endeavor or even commit themselves to the genuine spiritual path, and it's never clear that it comes later, the understanding that, wow, this is way more than I thought it would be, because it requires you sooner or later to actually give your heart. You thought that's an easy thing, but turns out it's the hardest thing you'll ever do, and it's actually required. You can have a rich and meaningful spiritual life without it, but it means you didn't go far enough. Because at some point, you'll have to face that challenge. How do I actually open my heart completely? How do I actually start relating from my heart instead of from my needs? So, I don't know why, but God sends me very mature people who are very advanced spiritually. So, most of you will be dealing with this in the near future, I promise you. And you'll probably have a very hard time. You'll feel very challenged, and you'll probably think I'm pushing you needlessly, but you'll be glad with the results. So this is how you get to God. Because when you open your, and the way you open your heart is always with other people. This is all the New Testament talk about, love thy neighbor. That's what that's about. If you can love your neighbor, that's how you get to God. Because if you open your heart enough, that leaves space for God to flow in. Which is not literally what happens. You become aware of what's already there, but that's a nice way to think of it. So there's all these events and challenges and experiences along the way that we think mean what they mean, or they are what they are, but they represent something much bigger and much more expansive and much deeper in us. And once we've passed through it, we realize that. You will know afterward that you opened your heart all the way. You won't know it while you're doing it. While you're doing it, you'll be screaming and saying, this hurts and I don't want to do it. So you won't know the meaning and the benefit of it. We never, everybody goes into any of this because they really like the idea of transformation. They seek transformation. They want transformation. And no one embraces transformation, because actual transformation means actual change. And no one likes change. Everyone likes familiarity. So when actual transformation becomes close at hand, even before it starts happening, when you can kind of smell it in the air, it's on its way, you immediately start moving away from it. You immediately start complaining. You immediately start disliking it. Everyone says, give me transformation. And then when transformation starts to come, everyone says, get me out of here. So remember that this is the way we're wired. Human beings don't like the unfamiliar. And the unfamiliar is just the everyday form of the unknown. And the unknown is God. So you have to be willing for what you don't want.
Swamiji, Nirvana has a question. Go ahead, Nirvana, you're unmuted. Go ahead. Oh, we can't hear you.
Go to the next person and get that sorted. Oh, there you go.
So what I notice is that I get upset and angry with the guru at least twice a month, and in those moments, my mind.
Oh, if it was once a month, we'd say something else. You know.
So what I notice is that what I'm doing right is I keep coming back. I'm not getting entirely derailed and running away, which is what my mind.
Is it on a particular date, or is it something I say?
It's something that you say.
Okay.
And what I'm doing wrong is that I don't want to even believe it for a minute, and I allow myself, at least an hour of fuming.
So we explained it, or we talked about it already in this meeting. It means I touched a nerve.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with me, and it has everything to do with you.
Absolutely.
So don't be mad at poor me. It means I'm doing a good job.
I know that. The wise.
Be kind to the elderly.
I'm not sending nasty texts or nasty emails.
Well, that's because you don't have my private number. That's why you don't have it. Most people have it, but you don't have it.
One of the things that I get frequently hooked by, and I want help. I want help. I'm sincerely asking. I get hooked by the dichotomy that you present between those of us who are on a genuine spiritual path and the rest of the world.
The rest of the world is also on a genuine spiritual path. It's just wrong.
So my mind goes with that is that what I see is not what you're telling. So it's like you're saying the sky is purple, and I'm saying no, the sky is green.
I'm saying be concerned with yourself and let the rest of the world take care of itself. What does it matter for you if the rest of the world is on this path, that path, no path, any path, the polka dot path? What does it matter? What does it matter for you? What matters for you is your journey Godward. And that's what you should be concerned with. So what you're telling me is you get angry about concepts that are not direct, that have no direct relation to your individual journey. And my job is to assist you with your individual journey. So if you're focused on the rest of the world, then my job is to get you to stop that and start focusing where it's going to matter, which is on yourself.
Yeah, and thank you. But that was just an example. Where I get stuck is when my reality, when I perceive feels different from what you say is reality. Because I've spent my whole life disregarding my own knowing. And so giving up my knowing to an authority.
Don't give anything up. Always trust your own knowing. And if something I say sounds like it disagrees, wait and see if it really does. It might get resolved over time by itself. But I'm not asking you to accept something I say because I say it. I'm not asking you to believe me over what you know in your heart or in your wisdom. I'm asking you to consider, I am asking you, because you're kind enough to listen, those who are kind enough to listen to me, I am asking you, inviting you to consider what I say and to never give up your power, never give up your originality and individuality. You are not to adopt my philosophy or my view of something in place of your own. You are to see if I can contribute something to your understanding. But you are not to put me on some pedestal. That's what a real cult and a real cult leader is they say, believe me and don't trust yourself. The real guru, the God-ordained guru, forces you. It's more than challenges you or invites you or encourages you. Forces you to trust yourself. Forces you to have your own view of things, because that's all you've got is your own experience. You can't get to anything real except through your own experience. You can't get there through thinking, and you can't get there through feeling, and you can't get there through reading books. You must have direct experience. The only way you get to reality is by more and more experiencing your way toward it. So you're just not clear on this point yet, that when you listen to me, you're not to adopt what I say. You're to see if it fits for you and take what helps you, and don't worry about the rest. Because I'm not here to help you trade up to a better philosophy, meaning the Guru's philosophy or the Guru's way of looking at things. I'm here to help you get more clear on what's real and right for you. That's my job. So if you think that what you believe or feel or have experienced is supposed to always fit neatly with what I talk about or what I've experienced or what I share, then you simply need to understand that that's not what this is about. In that sense, I am not teaching anything. I am challenging you to verify what you believe you know or already do know. If it's not verified, then you may be fooling yourself. If you verify it, then it's moving you toward truth. So if you agree with everything I say, then you're a follower, and I'm not. I have disciples. I don't have followers. I'm not interested in followers. I'm not interested in yes men. I'm not interested in people who come to me because they want to adopt what I say, because that doesn't help anybody. Then I'm actually harming you. Then you should go to somebody who's interested in controlling you. I'm interested in freeing you. I'm not giving you a philosophy to live by. I'm challenging you to live for real. That's what all real spiritual workers, let's say, to keep it very generic, that's what all real spiritual workers do. They challenge you to be more who you always were, always are, and can only be. You came in this world as you. Right now you're you. You'll leave this world as you. And the problem is society conditions you in all kinds of ways. All kinds of experiences happen. All kinds of influences, and things get twisted. Things get messed up. It's a messy life. It's a messy world. It's messy being a human being. And you get confused, and you move away from who you really are. The whole spiritual quest is to get back to who you really are. That's all. That's why I say I'm a garbage man. It's removing the garbage. We don't need to make a better you and put it in place of the you that's there. We just need to get rid of the garbage, and the real you will be evident. You're already that, because you can't be anything else. The problem is it's covered over. It's all mixed up with a lot of nonsense that isn't you. If we get what isn't you out of the way, you're fine.
Yes. Thank you. That single clarification is immensely helpful.
But it's very meaningful that if I say something that pushes a button, that's a big clue to you of some area where you probably are carrying a conditioning or a sense of limitation or some kind of emotional hurt, and it's a clue to you where to look in terms of understanding yourself, so that you can also, you can't leave it up to me to clear all the garbage. You've got to be doing that too. So
yeah. Well, I'm working every week with Catherine, and I'm definitely getting down to some really difficult things that I need to look at, some garbage that needs to be removed, and I'm working hard. So thank you so much.
the sincere disciple, believe it sounds daunting, but it can be joyful too. The real disciple is working on themselves every minute.
Yeah.
If you have a competent therapist to help you, if there are psychological or emotional issues that need attention, then absolutely competent psychotherapy is wise and good. All kinds of different therapies and methods for helping a person to move forward I endorse them all. If they're right for you, okay, just make sure they're right for you, and make sure it's somebody who knows what they're doing. And the guru is always trying to help you get more clear. But ultimately, it's your job. Ultimately, it's your task. You will do most of the work. You will do most of the heavy lifting of the spiritual forward movement and the march toward truth and the acceptance of love as the reality of life. So if you don't do your share, and this happens for people unconsciously, you kind of expect a guru to wave a magic wand and do it for you, or expect your therapist to kind of fix you, and you're hoping they do it quicker, and you forget that you have to do it. You forget that that's what this life is for, to clear things out in such a way that you actually know truth, you actually know God, you actually reach love. That's the purpose of a human life. That's the purpose of your life. The reason I so easily dismiss everything having to do with conventional life is because that's focused on making money or being popular. It has nothing to do with reaching God. Ultimately, it's all about reaching God. Even that's a perverted form of trying to reach God, but it's not going to work. It's going to end up with that life being wasted. So that's why I just am dismissive of it. It's not because I'm a nasty, hardcore guy. It's because I don't want you, who are the real, sincere, spiritually aware people, wasting your time trying to convince somebody who's not interested that there's a better way or a bigger reality going on. That's only for the people who want to go in that direction. People are free to drive off a cliff too. It's like if most of the world's going in a wrong direction, so what? Make sure you're going in the right direction. But I do say from time to time, and quite frequently, don't waste your time on people who are going in the wrong direction, because a lot of people have such good-heartedness. They want to kind of help people who they see are good people but are kind of clueless when it comes to the spiritual. You're never gonna convince anybody of the spiritual. The only way that happens is they see something in you and they kind of intuitively recognize there's something good here, and then they ask you. That's a different situation. So, but all this, organized religion, evangelism, where they go out and they grab people, that's just politics. That's just trying to force people to have a certain belief system, and that's nasty stuff. You have no right to tell someone else what to believe. And I'm not talking publicly to give you better beliefs. I want you to be who you really are. And to do that, you're going to have to let go of most of your beliefs, because most beliefs are just that, superficial limitations, something somebody taught you so long ago you don't even remember. And you'll get to your purity, you'll get to your essence by seeing that you can live just fine without beliefs. Knowing is what's required, not believing. Blind faith is blind, deaf, and dumb and helps nobody. It should be faith based on you've seen it with your own eyes. That's the real faith. You know it's true. That's the real faith. You know it's true so you can accept a wider possibility. That's the real faith. And it's amazing how God sends me people who already know that God is. Most people who do what I do, they're trying to help people realize that God is, but I get better people than that. I must have done something right. I get the advanced class. I get every level, but at every level you can be advanced. You can be a total beginner and already be very advanced. So that's who I get. Those who are advanced because they are advanced, and those who are beginners, yet they're advanced somehow. In the spiritual side of things, people come in all kinds of interesting ways, are in all kinds of interesting positions. Most of you are not questioning whether truth is possible. You're just asking how to get there. The rest of the world is still debating whether there is such a thing. So I don't have any interest in that. I already know the truth of it. I already know it is. I don't need to listen to any debate whether truth exists or not, or whether God is real or not. I already know. And so do you. That's why you hang with me. Anybody else?
Oh, yeah.
Well, time's up, so you have to be fast. You can come if you're fast. Thanks for dressing up.
Last Wednesday's discourse at the end, you said something about love that
Talk to the whole group so they can hear you.
you said something about love being more solid like a rock, and that really blew me away. I mean, that's like something I'm still trying to.
And I explained it more today.
Yeah,
I don't remember what I said Wednesday, but I explained, if that's what I said, then I explained it more today.
yeah, being more life, more relating, and I've always put it as such a abstract thing or such a wild thing.
Yeah, but that's not new. You've been with me a long time, and for a long time I've been trying to explain again and again in every which way that love is, there's nothing abstract about love.
I had remembered you saying it about God, but with love it was a little bit, it was just very surprising to hear it was like a solid rock.
That it has substance.
Substance, yeah.
The same way a table has substance, the same way a rock has substance. That's not this feeling in the air.
Right, yeah, this hairy-fairy kind of like, you know.
Or even this good attitude. Love is not an attitude. Love is a real thing.
Yeah, the first thing I thought of is just all the exercises we do of relating and looking each other in the eyes and just really grabbing somebody. And I felt the closest, I mean, that feeling was really at that Osho event with the you know, the bowls and the different sounds about how we all.
Oh, the Master P DJ thing.
Yeah, it was just for me it was totally true. I mean, the next day I think I told you something happened where I was like.
Yeah, well, it was a trance event. It was advertised as a trance
Yeah.
event, and it was my purpose to put you in a trance. But it's a trance that puts you in a trance for the purpose of taking you out of the everyday trance, which is the real trance.
And it was very blissful, but the next day was like a surgery, and it took me a few days to recover from it. And there were a lot of interesting dreams.
Always drive safely after I'm the DJ.
Well, I think I shared with you when we drove home that night is that the next day when I was driving to work through Beverly Hills, everything looked like a movie set. It was just, you could see out the palm tree, it was just like, whoa, this is like a cartoon. But it was, that was the feeling of more of a solid afterwards.
Well, that's your neural pathways recognizing that that's closer to the nature of things, that it's a set, it's not real.
Yeah.
You've been conditioned, brainwashed, that driving down the street, what you see is real. It's not. It is more, it's not a movie set, but it's more, that is a more towards the truth understanding than thinking of it as real. If you see it as a movie set, you're closer.
Right, yeah. And this whole week, I've been reflecting so much how elusive I've been since I was a kid and kind of a loner, like kind of the Lone Ranger.
Yeah, you have a way of slipping in and slipping out, yeah.
Yeah, I come off as, you know, and I am social. But there is this kind of sneaky kind of, ever since I used to sneak into reggae shows when I was 14, I would climb through the air-conditioned vents to get into shows. But I always kind of stood in the back corner and just observed everything, you know, and then not that I didn't mix and dance, but I just realized how kind of,
Could you get closer to the mic, please?
just how elusive and kind of, I don't I don't know if sneaky is such a good word, but kind of like
It's a little too harsh, yeah.
harsh, yeah,
Because you're not trying to sneak, it's just a way of
kind of
being
this shyness or something.
unobserved.
Unobserved, yeah. And that this whole love thing connects more with not being, like really being there with people, not being so
Being
observant.
visible,
Yes,
being willing to be seen. The slippery thing is not negative, it's not like you're sneaky, it's just you don't want to be seen.
yeah.
Not wanting to be seen means fear.
Fear,
Well, what else can it ever mean?
yeah,
If I don't want you to see me, then I'm afraid you'll have some idea about me that I don't like.
yeah.
Or you'll see something that I don't want you to see. So the key for you is to step out and be visible. Every time you do, things go great, but you don't notice it.
Yeah, and I step out plenty, you know.
Yes.
But,
And you don't notice the difference between when you do that versus when you kind of hang back. So you have to
Yeah.
start noticing how it's a whole different response, a whole different life, and a whole different inner experience for you when you're out there versus hanging back.
Yeah.
When you're willing to be seen rather than trying to not be seen.
yeah, and the hanging back doesn't, it just feels cheating myself
Well,
and
it's-
other
yeah.
people.
Yeah, it's too harsh to say cheating, but you're
Yeah.
robbing the rest of us of. I've been telling you this since day one. I'm going to say it again. I've said it in a long time because it hasn't helped you as many times as I've said it. But it's more true of you than for most of us. You just are pure love. And you just somehow don't grasp that. It's more true for you that you have it right at the surface and other people get it from you than it is for most of us. But it's a gift you haven't learned how to share openly, fully, and happily. It's like you don't know it, you don't believe it. I mean, why would you ever want to hide or hang back or not be seen if you knew you were pure love?
And, yeah, and there's everybody here, but there's people that really make me believe that, and I want to thank you
Well, then you need to hang with them a lot more
for sure.
and let them convince you. Because that's a gift. Very few people have this. It's in your nature. It's part of your personality. It's not just. It's on every level. So it's something. You're not a kid anymore, and it's a light you haven't allowed to shine, and the world needs it.
Yeah,
So I keep waiting to see you step into the center ring, but so far you show no signs of it. So I'll keep waiting. I mean, I can't force you, I can't make you, I can't drag you. I can just keep pointing toward it and keep reminding you that you have a special gift that most of us don't have. There are those of us, and it's not many, who have the gift of love. You're one of those. I don't have it. Most of the people in this room don't have it. There are a few others who have it. It's a rare gift. Most of us have whatever gifts we have, but it's a very special thing to have the gift of love, to be able to be a beacon of that for other people. And it isn't right that you don't fully embrace that and let that happen, but that's your freedom. You're not obligated or required, but the fact that you have that gift, it's a shame that you haven't reached the point yet where you can share it fully and openly and happily and realize that it's your gift to give. That there's absolutely no reason for you to hold back ever, because when you don't hold back, the whole room lights up.
yeah. I want to be less hesitant, and I was even today. I was like, I don't know if I want to, kind of nervous to go out. But then Shanti was in the back of my head because she always tells me you need to share more, and that really kind of helped push me. Not push, but it just helped, enforce that I do.
You need to relax and let yourself be who you really are. And other people will see it as love. It's one of the very first things I said to you 10 or 12 or whatever years ago. I gave you a practice for it, and then you came back for many years and said, I really don't do my practice, but every now and again I do it, and every time I do, miracles happen. And then I ask you 3 months later, have you been doing your practice? And you say, no. And I'm not, criticizing you. That's what people do. I know all about that. I do it, you do it, everybody does it. But the issue here isn't whether you do your practice or not. The issue here is the day going to come when you get it, that you have the special gift of love, and that is something that you need to be sharing. Only because it's so rare. Only because very few people have this in their makeup in this way. Everybody has love to give. I'm not saying you don't. But there's a few people who are like they're the beacons, and you're one of those people. It just happens to be you're one. I'm not even giving you a compliment. I'm telling you the facts.
And
You're one
I'm
of those
not aware-
people.
I don't feel like I'm not aware of that. I'm just holding back.
Well, cut it out. Yeah, you're gonna.
You made me aware of that the first time I got it initiated. I fell on your lap crying because you said that, and I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. You said it's going to be a little easier for you because, your love incarnate, and I felt
love. I told you you're love incarnate.
I thought I was the complete opposite.
And you proved me wrong. It hasn't been easier for you because here sits love incarnate still struggling with I don't know what to do. So.
And feeling older every day and wearing my pajamas. I better hurry up.
Well, sometimes it takes longer and it's worth waiting for.
I don't want to wait too much longer. I just.
Okay, 1 week. How many people do you think I've told they're love incarnate? 1. Take that. Okay.
Thank you.
So everybody else, do not let your mind trick you, hearing that conversation, into thinking that somehow you're not love incarnate, somehow that guy has something I don't have. Everybody has different forms, different purposes, different uses, different expressions, different gifts to give, different. Everybody has a different role in the cosmic scheme, let's say. And a few people, it is their role to just personify love incarnate. That's just literally even in their personality, not just in their higher self. It's on every level. And that's what we were talking about. Most of us aren't that, and there's no shame or loss in that. You are just as wonderful, just as complex, you have just as much to give. Don't let your mind, because this is what happens. People hear something like that and go, oh, he's better than me. Look how screwed up look how little I have to give. Don't play that game. You have something to give that only you can give. That's why you're here. It's literally obvious. What you don't see, usually, or rarely do people see it, and it's something that God has shown me that I can't not see it, is you don't see the 10 million people behind you who are never going to be born. You were born for a reason. You don't need to know what the reason is. What you need to know is there are 10 million people. I'm just making up that number. I don't know if it's 10 billion or 10,000, but it's a lot of people. 10 million sounds about right to me. What you need to understand is there's Manifest and unmanifest. Forget all this, law of attraction, manifest. That's not the way I use the word manifest. Manifest simply means it comes into existence. You exist. There's no denying it. You exist. Behind you, there are 10 million people who don't exist and will never exist. You got the slot. There's a reason you got that slot. 10 million people wanted that slot. You got it. They'll never get a slot. You aced them out. What happened was, in general terms, existence decided you had something that's needed. Because reality is all about, believe it or not, need. It's what's needed for the general good. You're needed here, or else you wouldn't be here. 10 million are not here because they're not as... The little pegs didn't line up right to be as needed as you. Maybe they were almost as needed as you, but you had something that's different, unique, whatever, however it lines up in you, that was more needed than all those other 10 million. And they're never going to be needed because it's one slot at a time. The slot got filled. It got filled by you. I've never explained it quite this way. This is a good way. I like this. It's very simple. So it's not for your ego to get all puffed up how special you are, but in the non-ego way, you are special. You are filling a very special role. Only you can be you. There has never been a you before. And when you leave this realm, you'll continue to exist, but not in the form you're in now, and there'll never be another one. So you have a unique, that's your individuality. You have a unique and individual presence that this existence as a whole requires. It's not the same without you. The fact that you are here matters. The fact that you were here, once you're gone, the fact that you were here matters, reverberates through the rest of time. You don't know how many people you affect in a lifetime. If you knew, you wouldn't believe the staggering effect that one person has on the whole universe. So don't be jealous when I tell someone you're love incarnate, and I've only said that to one person. Doesn't mean I'm not saying it to you. I'll say something to you that's mo better. You are you incarnate. It's the same statement. You are you incarnate. You can't argue with that one. And you means no one else but you. Someone else may be very similar. If you've ever had that experience of meeting somebody somewhere who is so amazing how much they're like you, they even look like you, they sound like you. Some of us have exact doppelgangers. They look exactly, well, everybody does actually, but you don't necessarily meet them. But there's even people who look like you and are exactly like you, but they're not exactly you. They're close, even amazingly close, but they're not exactly you. That's your uniqueness. So it means that existence chose you. Existence says, we need this one. And that's how you got here, seriously. So when you don't respect yourself, when you don't love yourself, when you fall into arrogance and pettiness and selfishness and all that, you are not recognizing your own greatness. The greatness simply means existence requires your presence because you have something unique and special to contribute. That deserves respect. That deserves honoring. That deserves understanding and acknowledging. So, of course, there's moments in life where you are down on yourself. Of course, there's moments that are painful. Of course, there's moments where you're depressed. And there's even moments when you hate yourself. Some of us have made that into an art form. It doesn't change the fact that existence chose you and brought you into being. So, become who you are is your task. And the result of that is it takes you to God. You get to God through yourself. You're the road. The guru is just the travel guide. You're doing the traveling. I'm just giving you the brochures. So, with that understanding, hear the words more clear for the first time. Respect yourself.